Hello, I've made a few videos from my car here. I'm in the garage underground and it's very quiet down here. So of course I can hear the ring quite well from the tinnitus. Um, you know, I always have a ring in my ear and I'm okay. But how did I get like this? Because I wasn't okay before, and I have a feeling there's some people that will watch this video and say, I'm definitely not okay now. I'm pretty stressed about all this sound. And I'm thinking back to some of the things I did before that it got me more accustomed to it. So before, I was very tuned into this sound and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So one of the things I used to do was meditate. And at first I didn't like meditating because I couldn't not think about the tinnitus. So I had to develop some methods. This is just one method. I wouldn't suggest that any one method is going to be your method of ridding yourself of tinnitus. Rather, you want to develop a toolbox of different methods. And as these methods get stronger, you'll push this whole tinnitus thing way to the background and it won't bother you. So this is just one method. I just want to describe, I'm going to sort of meditate here, but I'm maybe not quite exactly how I would do it because I have to talk to you. So number one, being in a total silence is probably the hardest, especially if you're very agitated by the tinnitus. But as I meditate here, one thing I could do is think about everything that's touching me. Like what I can feel on my skin, for example. Like I can feel the bands of my sleeves touching my wrist. I have my foot in a strange position, but I can feel the pressure on the outer edge of my foot below my pinky toe. And also I can feel my knee touching the side of touching the door of the car. I can feel my butt sitting in the car seat. What am I doing here? I'm just kind of taking inventory of everything that I feel in my body. But what was I really doing? I was getting my mind on that. And I was just going through different places in my body and thinking about how I feel. So I wasn't trying to not think about tinnitus, but yet I was not thinking about tinnitus, at least in a better, it was easier because I was thinking about everything I felt. So this is one strategy you can use. You don't even have to choose the sense of a feeling. You can do things like, okay, I'm going to try this one. I'm going to look around the car. I see the speedometer, and it goes from 0 to 160 in miles per hour, or 0 to 270 in kilometers per hour. There's also another gauge. I think it's the revolutions per minute. I'm not good at that. And it has the temperature and how much fuel is left. I have a little stereo receiver thing, and I have some controls for the stereo, and I can look at what each of the buttons does. The home, the source, the tone. I don't know what that does. The configuration, info. And I can kind of go through all the little parts there and think about them. There's the gear shifter in the car, and there's a handbrake. There's a seat I'm sitting on. And I could go on and think about the mirror and the visors above my head. But you see what I'm doing there. I'm just taking my brain through on a little trip and thinking about these things. And the tinnitus is a little bit pushed in the background. What am I doing? I'm practicing doing that. So with purpose, I'm choosing to think about what I feel on my body, how my clothes feel on my body, everything I feel that touches my skin. Or with purpose, I'm looking around. Besides the car, I see other cars here in the parking lot. There's a ceiling and wall and the pavement and the lines that are painted there. And I could take my brain on this journey of thinking about these things. And it's a practice session of directing my concentration towards something. Now, there's another thing I can do too, which is really effective. And I should have started with this one first. But I'm going to turn on the car fan. Let me do that now. I think you'll be able to hear it too. Can you hear that? I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. Hopefully we can both hear it. But now I have a sound besides the tinnitus. And I'm really thinking about hearing that sound. And there's some neat tricks I can do with it. I can imagine that right now that sound is in the background. But in my thinking, I want to bring that sound to the front. I want to hear mainly that sound. And I'm going to push the tinnitus to the background. Now it's somewhere else. The tinnitus is somewhere else. And the sound of the fan of the car is what I'm most paying attention to. Another thing that sometimes happens to me is kind of an interesting thought. The tinnitus and the sound of the car fan sort of blend together as one. I know they're not exactly the same sound, and I know you can only hear one of them. You can't hear what's inside my brain, but it's just a way of thinking. I hear the sound of the fan and the sound of the tinnitus sort of blending together, or I kind of feel the sound of the fan is mainly in my attention and the tinnitus is in the background. I think this is an excellent exercise. You can try doing it for a couple of minutes. If it makes you more uncomfortable, then, just do it for a minute and then try again later. But meditating on getting your conscious attention on other things can be very powerful, but it may take a little practice. And if you can make it to 10 minutes, amazing. Even if you sometimes, one thing you can think about with meditation is, okay, the tinnitus is in my consciousness right now. I hear it. Okay, but I'm going to change back and I'm going to go back to thinking about the sound of the fan. I'm hearing the fan. This is what I'm telling myself in my brain. The fan has some little changes in the sound. It's mostly the same, but I'm hearing the fan. And then maybe I'll have a thought that comes back and says, oh, but the tinnitus, I hear it. Okay, no, I'm going to go back to the fan. Or I'm going to go to feeling my clothes on my skin and anything that's touching my body. I'm thinking about my left foot and the position it's in. I feel my right buttock touching the seat stronger than my left buttock. I can feel my back touching the back of the seat. Oh, there's the tinnitus again, right? So then I go back again and think about one of those things and try to really focus in on that. And I'm practicing being able to direct my attention away from the tinnitus and over to something. But I am at no point am I saying, don't think about tinnitus, don't think about the tinnitus. It never works. I'm saying, okay, I hear the tinnitus, but I'm going to go back to the fan. I hear the fan. And I do my best to focus on the sound of the fan or something touching my skin. You could choose other activities, just things where you direct your attention. And this is sort of the beginning of being able to capture your ability the beginning of your ability to capture your own attention span and move it into something that gets you somewhere, away from the tinnitus, into another place. And practicing doing this, you can get better at it. And you can even get where it's very natural. You don't have to meditate. You just naturally can move your attention away from the tinnitus. But starting with the meditation, it can be a great step to get you to where you naturally can just move your attention span away from the tinnitus, and then you're habituated. You see what I mean? So this is just one tool in the tool set. It can be a very powerful tool for some. And other people may say, well, I don't really use meditation, but I use another method. And that's perfectly fine too. You just have to find the tools that work for you. So tonight I give you this one. So, okay, go to it. Maybe it'll help you. Good luck.